I've been using the Nothing Headphone 1 basically every day over the last month. But are they worth it over the countless other options of headphones out there? So today I'll be scoring and ranking them in a total of 10 categories against a premium headphone, mid-range headphone, and a more budget-friendly option. So let's get into category 1, build quality and fit. And I'm scoring the headphone 1 a 9 out of 10 here. You get a nice premium build, high quality hard plastics on the headband, the transparent plastic looks and feels premium, and you get a nice aluminium finish surrounding it. And the design itself has grown on me as I kind of expected. It was a bit of a shock at first, I'll be honest. Love it or hate it though, at least it's unique. And look, when you're wearing them, all that really matters is comfort, and that's where they excel. The cushioning on the ear cups and headband has a high quality feel. There isn't much on the headband, but the headphones are just incredibly comfortable, at least for me. The ear cups are nice and deep and spacious, fitting even my very large ears. So I get minimal contact of my ears inside the ear cup. And I can wear the headphones all day. I've been wearing them for over 6 hours straight with no issues. Even though the ergonomics are strange, like the ear cups don't angle in, but they still fit on me really well. And headphones like the Soundcore Space One or even the Sennheiser Momentum 4 do have softer ear pads. I prefer my ear pads to be more spacious, which is what you get on the Headphone 1. I only have the PX7S3 scored slightly higher as the build is slightly more premium, but the Headphone 1 is not far off and they're just as comfortable. The only issue here is that the ear cups don't rotate in, but this isn't really the case on most headphones except the Soundcore Space One Pro. The clamping force on the Headphone 1 though is perfectly balanced, tight enough so they lock in place quite well, but not too loose so they don't budge out of place. So I'd say pretty suitable for some moderate exercise, and the headphones do have an IP52 dust and water resistant rating. No headphone that I know of has any dust or water resistance. Keep in mind the 2 rating for water resistance is quite low, like you should really avoid getting the headphones wet at all, but it's better than nothing. Now the included hard case is also the thinnest out of all the cases that I've tested. It is kind of large, but most cases today are kind of going for that slightly larger size, but not too thick because you can't fold the ear cups in. You get a nice compartment for your cables in there, although the zip is not the smoothest when closing the case, I noticed. But now category 2 is battery life. I'm scoring the Headphone 1 an 8.5 out of 10. You get a solid advertised 35 hours with noise cancelling on and 80 hours with noise cancelling off. You can charge the headphones for 5 minutes and you get 2.5 hours of playback. That's with noise cancelling on. And no brands ever advertise fast charge with noise cancelling on, so good stuff, nothing. It also takes 2 hours to charge the headphones from dead to full battery. And I do like here that you can charge the headphones and still use them via Bluetooth at the same time. The only other headphone that I've tested that can do this is the Sennheiser Momentum 4. Now, category 3 is controls. And Nothing went all out here. I'm scoring them a solid 10 out of 10. So all your controls are on the right ear cup. The first off, you get a classic on and off switch, which I personally prefer over having to long press on a button. It's just a bit faster. Next is the roller, which feels really nice. So you kind of just push down slightly, roll back and forward to adjust volume. You get a nice subtle click feedback as you adjust. And you can press that button in to play and pause, and long hold to switch between your noise cancelling and transparency. You can also add noise cancelling off into that mix if you like. Next button here is the paddle, which you just push forward or back to skip tracks forward and back. You can also hold it down to fast forward or rewind your music with compatible apps. In my testing, it works on Spotify and it works really well. And the final button is a multifunction single press or long hold. On that, you can set voice assistant, noise control, you can mute your mic and more. You also get wearing detection with the sensor on the right ear cup. It is a bit slow to react if you quickly take that ear cup off. For example, in the Sennheiser Momentum 4, it'll instantly pause as soon as you even slightly take that ear cup off your ear. But overall, the wearing detection works fine. Now you don't get extras here like speak to chat as seen on the Sony XM5 and XM6. They do use touch controls though, which I personally don't mind, but you really can't go wrong with physical button controls. They just have the advantage of being more reliable. Say if your hands get wet or sweaty or whatever, touch controls can get a little bit iffy. And if you're wearing gloves as well, the button controls will still work completely fine. All right, now category 4 is connectivity. Scoring the Headphone 1 a 9 out of 10. As you get Bluetooth 5.4, SBC, AAC, and LDAC high res. You also get multi-point connection so you can have 2 devices connected to the headphones at the same time, and you can still use LDAC whilst using multi-point. You just need to pause playback on one device before playing it on the other device for that audio to switch over. There's also a low latency game mode, but in my quick test on my iPhone 15 Pro, whether I had it on or off, the latency basically was exactly the same. It's suitable for casual games. Shooters, you might notice a bit of latency, but it's not too bad. Of course, you can just plug in for 0 latency, which you can do via auxiliary or USB-C audio. And your EQ settings will also save to the headphone if you use them via Bluetooth or using them wired. Do keep in mind the headphones need to be powered on if you're using that headphone jack. But a benefit if you use USB-C to USB-C audio is that you're still able to play, pause, control your volume and skip tracks. You just can't fast forward or rewind. All right, now category 5 is call quality, and I run through 3 tests here: quiet room, simulation crowd noise, and a simulation windy city with construction noise. And here's all the scoring. The headphone 1 get a solid 9 out of 10. So they really do a great job of blocking out background noise and wind.
All right, here's the call quality of the Sennheiser Momentum 4 in a quiet room. All right, here's the call quality of the Nothing Headphone 1 in a quiet room. All right, here's the call quality of the Sony XM5 in a quiet room.
All right, now we're going to see how the microphones block out some simulation crowd noise.
All right, here's the Momentum 4 with some simulation crowd noise. All right, here's the Nothing Headphone 1 with some simulation crowd noise. All right, here's the call quality of the Sony XM5 with some simulation crowd noise.
All right, now I have some city noise, some construction noise, and some simulation wind.
All right, here's the Sennheiser Momentum 4 with some city noise, construction noise, and some simulation wind. All right, here's the Nothing Headphone 1 with some city noise, some construction noise, and some simulation wind. Alrighty, here is the call quality of the Sony XM5 with some city noise, construction noise, and simulation wind.
All right, now category 6 is app customization and extra features. I'm scoring the headphone 1 a 9 out of 10. Nothing has the most refined and just cleanest user interface with their app. From the top, you have the battery of your headphones. You have noise cancelling settings. You can change the strength of the noise cancelling. You get spatial audio with head tracking, which I'll cover later. There's a bass enhanced toggle in there. You get 3 EQ presets, a simple 3-band EQ, and an advanced 8-band EQ with Q factor and frequency adjustment. You have your channel hop settings, device settings with a low latency mode, wear and detection toggle, LDAC toggle, your connected devices, and you can also emit a beep from the headphones if you somehow misplace them. You get the basics here, and that advanced EQ is a real standout. All right, now category 7 is noise cancelling, and I test my noise cancelling here by chucking on my soundbar, and I play simulation plain noise and crowd noise. So I get low, middle, high, consistent, and inconsistent sounds. So here are the scores for the plain noise and crowd noise test, and the total score is the average of both of those tests. So the headphone 1 get a 7.5 out of 10. The noise cancelling is okay, but you can get stronger noise cancelling from the Momentum 4 and Soundcore Space 1 Pro. Even the Sony XM5 have noticeably stronger noise cancelling. Since they're an older headphone, they're priced the same as a headphone 1, so just keep that in mind as well. But you do get 3 modes in there, or there's an adaptive mode that'll automatically adjust the strength based on the noise around you. There is no automatic wind reduction, but I noticed walking outside on a moderately windy day, the mics don't pick up wind too easily. And in terms of EQ shift, if you go from noise cancelling on or transparency to noise cancelling off, there's about a 15% bass reduction. All right, category 8 is the transparency mode. I'm scoring the headphone 1 a 9 out of 10. Out of the headphones I have been testing, they just have the best overall clarity when it comes to picking up voices or distant sounds, and it's quite natural as well. The occlusion is quite minimal as well, so when you speak yourself, your own voice sounds clear, and there's a minimal amount of that blocked ear effect. The slight issue is that the wind pickup here is a bit more noticeable compared to the noise cancelling, so walking outside, even on a moderately windy day, I am hearing that wind get picked up by the microphones quite easily, and there's no auto wind reduction. But now category 9 is sound extras. So we're talking about sound leakage here, volume, and the wide listening options. I'm scoring them a 9 out of 10 here, as the only thing really missing is being able to use the headphones wired with the headphone jack with the headphones powered off. But testing the max volume without a seal, I got 98.9 decibels, so you get plenty of volume here, you're gonna be completely fine. Do keep in mind when you use the custom EQ or you do more EQing in the advanced EQ, you do lose a few decibels there. And with sound leakage, it's quite minimal here. It's just behind the PX7S3, which leaks the least amount of sound, so fine when it comes to leakage. But now onto the final round, sound quality. Scoring the headphone 1 and 8 out of 10 here. The sound out of the box is just okay, but it is a bit lacking when it comes to treble. So I'd say the mid-range here is definitely the standout, which is what you normally get with Nothing's earbuds as well. So vocals are super clear, they're natural. The instrument separation with the upper mids is also great. So things like distorted guitars, percussion, toms, and orchestration like keys and whatnot, you get nice realism, and they're just separated really well. I also noticed the soundstage is quite open compared to all the headphones I've tested. I'd say this is related to those slightly deeper ear cups. Now the bass here is slightly boosted. You're getting a decent amount of mid bass here. I'd say the sub bass could be boosted ever so slightly more. You can of course change this in the EQ. And my only real complaint here with the stock EQ at least is that the treble is quite lacking. It's super smooth. Like you get decent detail, but there's barely any upper trebles, so things like hi-hats and crashes and ride cymbals and certain aspects like female vocals and anything in those really high frequencies just falls back slightly, you don't get that much detail. And I personally like a really nice crisp treble response. Now this can be sort of fixed in the EQ, in that simple 3-band EQ, you can chuck it up. But even like in the advanced EQ, if you chuck the treble all the way up, you can't really get like nice detail and like a really crisp sound. That's why I always say, whatever the stock tuning is that you're getting, you can only really steer away so much from it. You can still get them sounding quite decent, but at least for me, I prefer the Sennheiser Momentum 4. They're a cheaper headphone, and the PX7S3, I just have scores slightly higher. Both of those headphones, their main standouts is going to be with treble, just it's much more crisp, and overall I just get a better listening experience. Now you do get spatial audio on the headphone one with head tracking, which I think is completely useless. Now the spatial audio here, it's okay. It's not terrible. I personally wouldn't use it, as you do get that kind of strange spatial audio reverb. Instruments and vocals just don't sound very natural, so I just turn it off, but it's there if you like. But here are the final scores. The headphone one do finish with 88 out of 100, so they're currently ranked first. Like the Momentum 4 are cheaper, you get better sound. There's also the XM5, which have noticeably stronger noise cancelling. The sound quality is basically on par, I would say, maybe slightly better. And there are plenty of other mid-range headphones that I'm yet to test that I know do give you some better features than the headphone one.